And welcome to the K-Files. And as you see, we are decorated for Christmas on the K-Files today.
Very
a little
festive,
bit,
very
with
festive.
Poinsettias and all of that. So welcome, JP. You've been my partner in crime. How long have you been on the show?
I'm going to guess about 2.5 years.
Can you believe that?
I love it.
You
I
only
enjoy
came
it.
to fill in.
Yeah, and that's
I
what I'm
wouldn't
doing.
let him leave.
I'm just filling in until you fill the position.
To what? Wait a minute. I'm not looking. So you may be here a while
That's
because
fine, that's
I don't
fine.
have time to look. So I don't want to look. JP's done a marvelous job and fills in when I'm not here, and I don't worry about it. So I thank you so much. And so anyway, today we're not going to have the Rocky Mount Police Department. They texted me and said that, you know, this time of year people take vacations,
Yeah.
and they've got a lot on vacation and out, and they said we really can't spare anybody, but we apologize, and next month in January you will have somebody from Rocky Mount PD. I appreciate their, you know, just their always, you know, being here and trying to, and Nash County and Edgecombe County has struggled a little bit. I've been talking to Tender, but they've had some cases, and I think they're a little shorthanded too. So everywhere I go, everybody is, you know, I can't hire anybody. Somebody told me the other day, I talked to one of our advertisers, and he said, you know, I didn't hire anybody all year. He's got 2 employees, but there's one position that he hasn't filled. He said, I'm doing it because I'm picky, because I'm tired of training. They come in, and in a month they're gone.
Yeah.
He said, so I'm trying to find that one individual, and I'm just so, you know, strapped. He said, I'm doing it all in that position. Plus, he's the business owner. He has to do everything that he normally has to do. So people, everywhere I go, you know, they're singing the same song.
My wife is a general manager up at Pools. She's a funeral director and general
Yes.
manager at the funeral home. She's been trying to hire 1 or 2 funeral directors for the past year and a half, and she cannot get anyone interested in the job. They'll apply, they'll come in, and they're like, yeah, I need $125,000 a year, and she's like, yeah, this is not the fit for you.
They expect the moon now.
Yes.
I mean, if you say you pay $15, $20 an hour, they're like, you know, forget that.
Yeah, and my kids work there, kind of filling in different jobs, and they think, you know, they're entitled to $50,000 or $65,000 a year part time, and that's always comical. You know,
Yeah.
at my house.
Well, you know, I guess the world is what it is, and I don't see it ever going back. Things may improve a little. I don't see it going back
Yeah.
to the way it was.
Yeah.
Do you?
I do not.
I do not either. But anyway, and that is sad. But we'll go ahead and get started with some cases. I don't have my book, so I'm going to let you start. And when we go to break, I'll go pick up my
Okay.
book. But JP's in charge of that anyway, so I'll let him have at it.
It seems like we're in line this morning. The first case to talk about is Billy Ray, I believe it's Childers. This is the case from December 5th, 2004. Billy Ray Childers was sitting on the porch, 1208 Boone Street in Rocky Mount, drinking with his father, Sammy, and a friend, Stanley. A little after midnight, Stanley had gone to bed, and the father, Sammy, stated that 2 white males attacked him and Billy as they were sitting on the porch. They fled in the house, and shortly after, Sammy had gone to bed not knowing how severe he and his son had been beaten. The next morning, Stanley awoken and saw Billy laying on the floor, and he went to talk to Sammy, who was still in bed. They spoke for a few minutes, and then they went to breakfast. When he returned, he stated that he went to talk to Sammy again and saw that he had been stabbed. He then went to wake up Billy and realized that he was dead. Stanley then called 911 around 10:34 to report the same. EMS and police responded. Sammy was removed through a window to the ambulance in order not to disrupt the crime scene.
Wonder what happened there.
Yeah, that's, well, the narrative, the wording of the narrative kind of threw me off as I was reading it, so I don't know.
That is,
Just randomly attacked while sitting on the porch is what it sounds like. And it must have been a pretty severe beating to have died
Oh, yeah.
overnight from the injuries that you sustained.
absolutely. So Billy Childers, what's the date?
This case is from December 5th, 2004. Billy Childers was actually sitting on the porch there at 1208 Boone Street, drinking with his father, Sammy, and a friend, Stanley. And this would have been around midnight.
If you know anything, you know to please come forward. We have money for you. It's Christmas time. And we can probably, if you call today, we might can have something to you Saturday, and you can buy some Christmas presents. So please call. It's anonymous. We won't know who you are. So we have up to $15,000 in the pot. It'll be cash. We'll hand you cash. We're not going to write you a check. And it is not upon conviction. It is upon arrest. So it's very easy. If you know something about the case and somebody knows something, I mean, I know those people that did this. They talked to somebody. So please help.
This next case we're going to discuss is, we've talked about it numerous times with Rocky Mount. We've talked about it with the sheriff's office. Baby John Nash.
Yes. We hadn't brought that up in a while.
And from time to time I hear there's been some movement, but I don't never really hear any details on it, or there's about to be movement. Or
Well, the last thing we heard was that the lab, what do you call it?
DNA.
DNA lab.
Mm-hmm.
The DNA was about to come back, and I said, well, how long does it take? I mean, I know the DNA lab is backed up, but they keep telling me that the DNA lab, it'll come back from the lab soon, and they believe they can solve it when it comes back.
So Baby John Nash, this case is from February 7th, 2007. Around 1:15 p.m., a homeless man was searching the dumpster behind the food line on Harbor West Drive in Rocky Mount when he came across a Cheetos bucket. When he saw the Cheetos bucket, he saw what he thought was a baby doll. He picked it up by the leg and realized it was a real baby. He notified law enforcement. Rocky Mount Police Department started investigating and revealed that the newborn was a white male, possibly born around February 5th, 2007, and still had his umbilical cord attached. The medical examiner noted that the baby was alive at one time, had air in his stomach and lungs, with evidence of a live birth. The Cheetos bucket, that type of bucket is not sold or was not sold at that time in Rocky Mount stores. It was only sold in northern states. Law enforcement named him Baby John Nash. Baby John Nash weighed 7 pounds 5 ounces and was nearly 21 inches long. The mother would have been pregnant around May through June 2006 through January 2007. The mother could have been from up north where the Cheetos bucket was sold, or it could have just been a coincidence. And there's been lots of speculation, about that bucket as well.
Yes, I mean, that's been one of the main pieces of evidence in the case. And as they said, and I've never heard of a Cheetos bucket.
I've never seen
until
one.
this case. Never seen them sold, but like they said, they're only sold in up north stores, so we wouldn't have probably seen one. But this case, we hope, can be solved. The Rocky Mount Police Department is still saying they're confident it can be solved. So next time they come, we're going to ask them about this case.
Yeah, I'd love to know what the status is on it.
Yeah, I would too. I really would.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to break. It is almost 8:17, so we'll go to our first break, and we'll be right back with you on the K-Files with myself and JP. Okay, and welcome back to the K-Files. We'll move on with another case for you this morning, and don't forget, if you know something, if you've seen something, say something, please.
And, you know, we've said from time to time, every case in this book can be solved or closed out with that one tip that somebody thinks is insignificant.
Yes. And don't forget, at this time of year, remember the families and what they're going through. You could really give closure to a family. You could help a family get closure this Christmas. So
This next case is from April 30th, 2006. Ronnie DeMorris Barnes Jr. Officers were alerted by the public that a body had been located in an alleyway between downtown businesses in the 300 block of Barnes Street South in Wilson. Officers later determined that the body was that of Ronnie DeMorris Barnes Jr., who had been reported missing on March 26, 2006. The medical examiner classified Barnes's death as a homicide. And this is one of those Wilson cases that has, you know, limited information. And that's the only information that we have, you know, that the body was found between two businesses, 300 block of Barnes Street South, Wilson. And that area has actually come back a lot. I don't know if you've been down there lately.
Yes, I
And
have.
this is actually the area they're talking about moving the Mudcats to.
yes, that's right. Aren't they going to move the Mudcats to the Whirligig Park
That's right.
area?
And you know, has anybody told you the reasoning or the logic behind moving the Mudcats to Wilson?
No.
They're looking at expanding, you know, MLB by 2 teams. They want to bring it to Wake County. The owner of the Carolina Hurricanes is behind it.
Really?
And it's almost impossible to bring an MLB team to Wake County if the Mudcats is in Wake County. So they're trying to help
get them out.
politely get them out.
Politely, yes.
And find a fitting home for them so that Raleigh can have an MLB team.
Wow.
And it looks, you know, I see it happening.
Wow.
Who would have ever thought that the Hurricanes would be as popular as what they are in Raleigh?
That's exactly right. Good grief.
But
they
that's the
really
logic
are.
behind it, to get North Carolina an MLB team.
Well,
and I hope it
Wilson
works.
is welcoming them with open arms,
Yeah.
believe me.
And they have the
really are.
baseball museum.
Oh, yeah.
It would
Yeah.
be very fitting.
Now, what will this do to the other
Tobbs.
team, the Tobbs?
Yeah. Well, see, I believe it's collegiate. So
So not really.
it would really have no bearing on it, I don't think, because it is like college
Right.
level.
Right. Okay.
Wilbert Kane. This case is from November 24th, 2006. Wilbert Kane, 58 years old, was in Hobgood in Halifax County, North Carolina, around 8:30 p.m. on November 24th, 2006, when he was walking and approached by 3 robbers that were looking for a suspected drug house. The suspects threatened him and had him go to the door of the drug house. The owner of the drug house opened the door. The suspects forced their way into the home and robbed them. When the suspects left the house, they shot Kane and the neighbor. Kane did not survive his injuries. Kane had no dealings with the drug house and was an innocent bystander.
Wow.
The alleged gunmen were in a dark-colored SUV with a chrome grille. I don't remember discuss
I don't remember
this.
this case.
I do
at
not
all.
either.
Hobgood, which is in Halifax County.
Hmm.
So, this guy was just walking, Wilbert Kane was just walking, and these robbers approached him.
Basically kidnapped him at gunpoint.
They were looking for a drug house, and they
Mhm.
wanted him to be
Yep.
the one to go to the drug house.
Yes. And I'm
Had
sure.
him go to the door of the drug house.
Hmm.
And the owner of the drug house opened the door, and the suspects forced their way into the home and robbed them. Wow. So where was Cain when they were in the house, breaking in the house? They still had him with them?
Hmm.
And
He was probably scared to death.
oh my goodness.
Um,
And when they left the house, they shot him
they knew they had to. Yeah.
and the neighbor. Goodness gracious. If y'all know anything about this, that's terrible. Wilbert Kane simply just walking down the road.
Hmm. This next case is from January 12th, 2006. January 12th, 2006. Dexter Xavier Johnson. Dexter Newt Xavier Johnson, 33, was killed at 422 East Grand Avenue outside of a convenient mart in an attempted robbery around 11:45 p.m. Johnson only had $9 on him and was shot several times, once in the back, once in the abdomen, and the left arm. 422 East Grand Avenue. Now, I'm not familiar with East Grand Avenue, so I don't know if this is going to be a Rocky Mount case, a Wilson
Yes, it
case.
will be Rocky
It
Mount.
will.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Dexter Newt Xavier Johnson, 422 East Grand Avenue in Rocky Mount, just outside of a convenient mart. Attempted robbery.
Right over by Atlantic Avenue, if y'all know where
Okay.
Atlantic Avenue is. It crosses Atlantic Avenue. 11:45, quarter to 12 at night. So, if you know anything about that, and you know, it is terrible. It's bad enough to get robbed, but it is terrible to get robbed with only $9 in your pocket. Or
Killed over nothing.
nothing. I mean, terrible.
Now,
And-
is this where the old Pizza Inn used to be? The old Roses, the old
Grand
Almond
Avenue
Drugs?
becomes Fairview Road
Gotcha.
at Raleigh Road.
Okay.
So yes, that's the same
area.
road.
Okay.
Yes. So if you know anything, please say something.
All right. The next case we're going to discuss is from February 10th, 2007. Gary Lamont Robbins. Gary Lamont Robbins. First responders were dispatched to an incident at Rex and Vance Street in Rocky Mount. When they arrived on scene, they found a van that had been wrecked. Gary Lamont Robbins was inside the van. EMS personnel pulled him out, and as they were putting him on the gurney, they noticed that he had been shot multiple times. He later died of his injuries. Gary Lamont Robbins,
Wow.
February 10, 2007.
Rex and Vance Street.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's over by Branch Street, Clark Street, that area, which is a big drug area right now.
So he was shot in the, it sounds like he was shot in the van while it was moving,
Yes.
especially if it was found in a wrecked condition.
Inside the van,
Mm-hmm.
yes. They pulled him out and put him on the stretcher, but he, as you said, he succumbed to his injuries. So that's sad. If you know anything, February of 2007, please. The number on the screen is 406-6736. This is a Rocky Mount Police Department case. Let's put up the text to tip, if you will, Pernell. The text to tip and the also Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers is there's Crime Stoppers, 977-1111. Just call the number. It will be anonymous. So, and if you can do the text to tip, can you do the text to tip too, Pernell? If you can do that, because I don't know those numbers. Anyway, maybe he can get that up a little bit later.
You know, when you watch, I don't know if you've noticed this, but you know, this time of year, you know, you turn on the news at night, you see all these shootings around Raleigh, Durham, Rocky Mount. They're everywhere.
Right.
And you know, you look in Raleigh, the Highway Patrol run up on a van on the Beltline and stopped it because it had multiple bullet holes in it.
Goodness.
You know, it's crazy. You don't never know where this stuff is going to happen.
You don't, and you might not be involved in
That's
any
right. They
way.
might misidentify your vehicle as
Right.
somebody that they're trying to find or somebody that they're trying to put a hit on.
Yeah.
So you need to be mindful and observant of what's going on around you at all times.
Or it could hit your car
Yeah.
by mistake.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I was looking for the little icon thing. Okay, Rocky Mountain Texas tip, there it is, 274-637. This is a company out of Canada. They're not going, it's anonymous, they're not going to know who you are. Police department, the only thing they want is the tip so that they can go to work.
And
So
it's
that they can-
confidential.
Yes, absolutely. So please, as I said, give a family some closure this Christmas and get some cash. So, okay, it's time to go to break. The breaks are coming fast. We've got a lot of ads going on.
'Tis the season.
So, yes, it is. So we'll be right back with you and weather right after this. We'll get some weather right before we go off, but right now there's a lot of bank robberies. Well, I can tell you a lot of ways that you can get cash other than bank robberies. That's for sure. So look at your options before you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Right here, a day ago on Fighting Crime News and Who's Wanted, Wells Fargo Bank robbery suspect arrested last night in Ollie's on Benvenue Road. This is the same suspect that robbed the State Employees Credit Union on Fairview Road in January 2022. Per law enforcement, Muhammad Majad Shihadi went into Ollie's store last night on Benvenue, acting suspicious, and law enforcement was called. Rocky Mount Police Department and the Highway Patrol responded and arrested him. He is in the Nash County Jail and charged with common law robbery, possession of heroin, possession of drug paraphernalia. Wells Fargo on Benvenue was robbed Monday, and he got a $65,000 bond. You know, this
Nothing.
this is just this is wild. He robbed a bank in 2022, the State Employees Credit Union on Fairview. Why is this man not in prison?
Exactly. Why did he have an opportunity to do it again?
I'm going to give the DA a pass on this one because he wasn't in office. Okay, this was under the previous
That's right.
administration. But you know, it's people like this that perpetrate crime again and again and again, and that's why this book is so thick in the
That's right.
Nash, Edgecombe, and Halifax County areas. It's because I'm telling you, it's the same people doing the same crime
It is.
again and again, and until you hold them accountable, until you put them behind bars, they're going to continue to wreak havoc on a community.
That's exactly
And
right.
it's sad. It's sad.
It really is. You want to take something that does not belong to you.
Law enforcement's lives were put in jeopardy here. The people who visit that bank, their lives were put in jeopardy. The people who work at that bank, their lives were put in jeopardy because this gentleman was not behind bars.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at it.
Well, I hope the legislature will look into stiffer penalties and at some of their statutes and change some things because, judges tell me sometimes I sometimes give what I can give, and that's all I can do because we do have statutes that we have to go by. So please understand, it's not always the judge's fault.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes it is though.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes you wonder.
that's just wild. Robbed a bank a year and a half ago in Rocky Mount, and clearly all he got was a, pat
Yeah.
on the hand. Pat on the hand.
Absolutely. Okay, so what are we doing next?
Okay, the next case we're going to talk about is, let's talk about Leona Johnson and Deborah. We got 8 minutes. I tell you what, let's look at Gary Lamont Robbins.
Okay.
Gary Lamont Robbins. This case is from 2/10/2007.
That's when we
That's when we just did. Okay. How about Shandon Therese Hedgepeth?
Okay.
Hedgepeth, 29, was found at 4:08 a.m. on 214 North Harris Street in Rocky Mount when firefighters were extinguishing a house fire. He was lying on the floor with a blanket over him and blindfolded. The autopsy showed multiple blunt force injuries to his head and that he may have still been alive but unconscious when the home was actually set on fire. His death was ultimately ruled a homicide.
Wow.
That's terrible. Shandon Therese Hedgepeth, July 2nd, 2007. Bound, gagged, beat in the head, blindfolded, and the home around him set on fire.
Wow. That's terrible. Okay.
Are you ready?
Okay.
That's-
We're not ready yet. But lying on the floor with a blanket over him and blindfolded. Autopsy showed multiple blunt force injuries to his head.
This goes back to what we were just talking about with the bank robberies. Folks, I'm telling you, this is evil. Whoever did this is
Very
evil.
Think about
And
it.
these people still walk among us, whoever perpetrated this, and I guarantee you they're associated with other cases in this book. And this is why it's so important that people come forward and share that tip, to share that information, to get these people off the street and make our community, a safer place to live and work.
Absolutely. I mean, it wasn't enough to kill him. He had to set the house on fire and set him on fire. I mean, how terrible.
Struck him in the head multiple times,
Yeah.
blindfolded.
Terrible. So if you know anything about this, Shandon Therese Hedgepeth, if you know anything, please call the number on the screen. This would be a Rocky Mount case. Harris Street is off of Sunset. It crosses Sunset. So it's in town, right in the middle of town. And this happened at 4 a.m. in the morning. A lot of these crimes happen after midnight. It makes you wonder. I mean, what are you doing after midnight? Nothing good happens. Okay, want to do one more?
Okay. Is this Tillette Princess Davis?
I think so.
Tillette Princess Davis. This case is from August 28th, 2007. Officers responded to 600 Gay Street in Wilson in reference to a female lying in an area behind White's Tire Service. Once they arrived, they found Tillette Davis deceased after she had been reported missing earlier that morning. This is only a couple of blocks away from the Barn Street one that we were discussing just a few moments earlier.
Oh, yeah. White's Tire Service is right there. If you know anything about this, Tillette Princess Davis. So, August 28, 2007. If you know anything, please call the number. Not text a tip, because that would be a Rocky Mount case. This is a Wilson case. So you would call Wilson PD, Wilson Sheriff's Department, or just call 406-6736 and please tell them something. I promise you it will be anonymous. So, and you can get some cash before Christmas, folks. You really can. So, I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and
Absolutely.
a Happy New Year with your family. And remember, there are families out there that will be thinking about their loved one who's not with them anymore because someone has taken their life. So if you could help, we would appreciate it. On behalf of Team Cold Case and the K-Files, we hope you, again, have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year with your families.
Merry Christmas, everybody.